So Kanye West has continued his aggressive departure from identity politics, is essentially what it amounts to. I think it's refreshing, but one person is particularly angry about it. Ta-Nehisi Coates, who is the Moses of Black America, the spokesperson for all people of color. He's written an essay essentially calling out Kanye West as a race traitor. To talk about this issue, because we're sensitive to identity politics and we don't want to offend Ta-Nehisi Coates, who better to have on than Amanda Prestigiacomo from the DailyWire, because we've recently discovered, haven't we, Amanda, that you are over 2% African and Asian. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm 2% victim, so I was very excited about it. Hopefully I can get some free stuff and some of that. I can wear like a Chinese prom dress or something, or, put my hair in braids, and I'll be cool.
Without being called out.
Exciting news.
Right, because you're only 97% European. So what did you think of Ta-Nehisi Coates versus Kanye? What were your first reactions to this?
Very lengthy, and just basically cast out Kanye West from the black race because of his wrongthink. Mm-hmm. Because he said he's open to free thinkers, because he dared to say that he likes how somebody who has black skin but thinks conservatively, Candace Owens, thinks he's no longer allowed to be identified as black, apparently, because black people are only supposed to think one way.
Right.
We've seen this kind of across the board. And it's this weird thing where people are writing, The Root wrote a piece and they said that free thought is white thought, which is such an odd thing to say. Like, what does that say about black people then? Like, what does that say about free thinking? Ta-Nehisi Coates basically said the same thing, that your free thought is equivalent to white thought. And free thought actually is thinking like me.
So,
so it's a very odd.
The worst thing about this, and this is what, and I'll come right out and say it, I thought Ta-Nehisi Coates' column was deeply offensive. I know we're on the right, we're not supposed to say that, but it really was. It offended my sense of what it is to be human. I once had the privilege of moderating a debate between Jason Riley of the Wall Street Journal, and it turned out to be a leftist professor from Harvard. But it was actually originally going to be Ta-Nehisi Coates. He wouldn't come for one reason or another. But Jason Riley just has such a moving testimony, because he comes from a lower middle class background, or actually maybe lower than lower middle class background in Buffalo, New York, grew up in the inner city. And he remembers coming back from his first year of college, and he was a good student. I mean, he was very studious, and he had improved in many ways in his first year, including in his diction. And he was talking to his little niece after he got back, and his little niece was laughing at him, and she said, "Why are you talking so white?" And it is heartbreaking, because he essentially said, the reason she said that is because I was speaking well. Mm-hmm. And in her community, it had been taught to her that an improvement of character, of virtue, was white. It's better to be unvirtuous and avoid that virtue rather than appear white. That's really, really gross. And you know what? On that, Ta-Nehisi Coates and the worst elements of the alt-right would agree heartily.
Exactly. This is where kind of they all coalesce, the alt-right and the extreme left-wing identity politics all come together, right? They're just a monolithic group, and these are the standards, and you can't change that. And if you're outside that at all, you are a traitor. And like these standards of what is white and what is black, like free thinking is white and speaking well is white, right, which is insane, which is very offensive, as you said. That's disgusting that somebody would say that. Right. It's not. Individuals have the capability to do either of those things. Doesn't matter about the pigmentation in their skin. Right. So it is really gross. And actually, when I taught, I was a teacher before I was a writer, and I taught in the inner city on all boys school, and that was like what teachers and administration were trying to combat, because we saw that within the school where kids would be made fun of. You're acting white for doing well and succeeding in school. It was almost better to do poorly,
right?
Because then you're one of them. You're part of the collective. And again, this is just more collectivism that we see from the left, from Mr. Coates.
And again, you can have sort of subgroup identities, and I can sympathize with that. But what Ta-Nehisi Coates is pushing here, which is funny, because the guy's the nerdiest.
I know.
He's like Jason Riley. His niece would ask him why you talk so white.
Right.
And it's just nonsense, because he's very precise, very eloquent, and he's very precisely and very eloquently wrong.
Yeah, and very precisely and eloquently racist. I mean, he's again trying to put people in this box because of what their skin color is. Like, Kanye West is not allowed to be open to different ideas because of his skin color. You will be an Uncle Tom. You will be a traitor. just at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, we saw Michelle Wolf call Sarah Sanders an Uncle Tom of white women, or something to that effect. Like, I get called this stuff too, just because if I don't agree to feminism or third wave feminist ideology.
Right.
But it's particularly strong in the Black community, and I could really care less when it happens to me.
Well,
but it is.
You're almost full-blooded Italian, right? So, and you come from an Italian community that's probably fairly self-aware of its.
My mom's off the boat from Sicily.
Right.
Like, I'm very, one generation off from an immigrant. Yeah.
And I bet in a self-aware subgroup, like many Italian subgroups are, there is an awareness of national identity or national background, racial background. But the way it's enforced, I would think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is you might be told, don't do that, we Italians don't do that, but you would be told that about vices, not about virtues.
Exactly.
Does that make sense? You wouldn't be told, Amanda, don't be so eloquent, don't be so educated, don't be so smart. That's not Italian. You'd be told about that about drunkenness or something, right? Right.
No, that's exactly right. Is that it's very foreign to me to see something that we would see as a virtue and be slammed and be demonized because it doesn't fit in that culture or in that box or that skin color type. It's very, very foreign to me. It does seem particular to the Black community. You're not allowed to have thoughts that dare to deviate from the Democrat Party platform. And as we've seen, the Democrat Party has not done so much for Blacks, so it's very curious.
Yeah. And as a final thought, I also happen to think, and we can get into this more deeply in a future session, but I also happen to think that this thing that's going on is also foreign to the Black community. I think it's absolutely pure ideology and politics injected into their community through propaganda. I don't think it's growing naturally and organically from Black America. Don't pull your pants up. That's not Black. What?
Right.
I don't think that's real.
I totally agree with that. And then even just their adherence to the Democrat Party, I think is very disingenuous almost. Like they think they have to vote one way. But when you talk to people, all my friends who are Black, on a personal level, I'm like, you are conservative. Yep. You understand that, right? You go to church every Sunday with your grandma. There's like this respect element. There's this pull yourself up. Yep. You're responsible, this discipline. There are all these conservative values that they have.
Absolutely.
But for whatever reason, they're told they have to be a Democrat and they have to vote in a certain way. Otherwise, they're a traitor.
Yep.
So people like Mr. Coates are putting this on the Black community, and it's really gross. And like you said, it is disingenuous.
Yeah. It's kind of like being Catholic, only racial.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Amanda. Can't wait to have you on again soon. And folks, do find Amanda online. She has a very entertaining Twitter account to follow, and also her work at Daily Wire is great, and she can be found at Amanda Presto. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And viewers, I also wanted to mention, if you have been enjoying The Stephen Harriott Show, please do go over to YouTube and check out The Stephen Harriott Show at YouTube. You can also find us on iTunes and Google Play. Do consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and I'll talk to you again soon. I'm your host, Stephen Harriott.